Aha. Good morning. Can you hear me? Well, if you can't hear me, raise your hand. No. Good morning. I'm Sue Farnlocker, and I'm happy to serve as this congregation. Just breathe. Hi, guys. I'm a member of the board, and my pronouns are she, her, they. I'm middle-aged, fat, but happy. So, you can scan the QR code on the screen to let us know you're here, get a digital version of our order of service, and find our donation page. If you're visiting with us this morning, welcome. We have a first-time visitor's guest for you at the greeters table, and one of our dedicated volunteers will be available up here in the front of the worship service by the candle table to share our getting to know you information. Please take a moment to silence your phones, whether this is your first time here or your 500th. We welcome you to come chat with us after the service to learn more about who we are and what we believe here at First UU. Please find me or another board member, and board members have this little flag you can't see against our clothing saying they're a member of the Board of Trustees, and learn more about the church. We'll be happy to talk to you. We have a few announcements this morning. Today is the kickoff for our annual Stewardship Campaign. You're invited to attend one of the many events scheduled this month, and it's in our Friday news, and you can find all the details in a link to RSVP. We're starting a brand new Worship Associates program. If you're interested in learning about crafting worship services, love to talk in front of thousands of people, consider signing up. You can see Reverend Teresa with questions and get the details in our Friday news. Our Wednesday Covenant group invites you to visit them today in Beach Hall during coffee hour to learn about First UU's hidden gem, the library. Swing by and talk to them to learn all about this great resource. Please mark your calendar for 2 congregational meetings following the service on May 19th and June 9th. Come to First UU this Friday at 7 p.m. for a free concert by member Katie Oberle for an intimate acoustic concert of her original songs, including a sound bath. You can hear tunes from her albums, Shine and Driftwood, as well as some unreleased material. The concert's free. Donations are gratefully accepted. So please rise in body and spirit to sing our opening hymn, Morning Has Come, number 1000 in the Teal hymn book.
To see that life abounds. to guide our journey home.
Teresa Cooley, and for those of you who are sight impaired, let me describe myself. I have very, very white hair, very short hair. I'm wearing a blue dress with a green stole, and I'm very happy to see you this morning. I'm your developmental minister. Welcome to First Unitarian Universalist Church of Columbus. We begin this service by acknowledging that we gather on the ancestral lands of the Adena, Hopewell, Wyandotte, Miami, Seneca, Erie, and Cayuga people. We cultivate this awareness that concrete acts of solidarity, healing, and reparation accompany our symbolic acknowledgements.
Good morning. I'm Amanda Hayes, standing in for the Reverend Kelly this morning. I use she, her pronouns, and I serve as your justice minister. As my visual description, I am a visibly pregnant white woman in my mid-30s with short, spiky hair and glasses. Let us enter into the spirit of worship with these opening words by Margaret Kipe. As surely as we belong to the universe, we belong together. We join here to transcend the isolated self, to reconnect, to know ourselves to be at home, here on earth, under the stars, linked with each other. Let us all rise in body or spirit. While our children meet in the back to prepare to bring in the light, please turn to your neighbor to introduce yourself. Our children are now ready to bring in the light. If you would please drift back to your seats, our children are now ready to bring in the light. Thank you.
You're going to come up here one day, I know. You're going to make it all the way up. Yes. We light our chalice with words from Richard Gilbert. Each morning, we hold out our chalice of being, to be filled with the graces of life that abounds, air to breathe, food to eat, companions to love, beauty to behold, art to cherish, causes to serve. They come in ritual procession, these gifts of life. Whether we deserve them, we cannot know or say, for they are poured out for us. Our task is to hold steady the chalice of our being.
Thank you, Sage, for helping light our chalice. Good morning. Today's story is called The More You Give, written by Marcy Campbell and illustrated by Francesca Sana. Once, there was a wide open field and a boy who loved his grandmother, who loved him back, and they were happy. The grandmother gave the boy many gifts, like hugs and bigger laughter and the very biggest Sunday morning pancakes. But she had more to give, small gifts, like acorns, tiny and shiny, with wild and woolly caps. Most of the gifts she gave the boy were ones that he could not hold in his hands, like all of her wisdom about how things grow. The boy watched and wondered until one day, oh, when will it be bigger than me, he asked, as he dreamed of swings and secret spaces. In reply, his grandmother gave him another gift, patience. The boy had a birthday, and the tree reached his knees. The boy had a birthday, and the tree reached his shoulders. The boy's grandmother had a birthday, and he gave her many gifts, like a poem, a picture, a crown, and most of all, his love. And she loved him back, and they were happy. Until one day, slowly, slowly, happiness spread its roots again. The boy's grandmother had taught him to ask for help when he needed it. And so remembering, he did. He watered and weeded while he watched and wondered. He grew tall with wondering, still dreaming of swings and secret spaces, but not for himself. Once, there was a not so wide open field and a girl who loved her father, who loved her back, and they were happy. The father gave the girl many gifts like piggyback rides and plump strawberries and bedtime stories about his grandmother. He also gave the girl acorns, tiny, shiny things with wild and woolly caps. But he had more to give, like all of his wisdom about how things grow. When will it be bigger than me? The girl asked. And he explained how love, even when given to the smallest of things, can spread up and out and grow bigger than she could ever imagine. Together they watered and weeded, and in time they found shade, a home, and strong, thick branches that were perfect for, They watched and waited and wondered. The girl grew, and the trees grew, and their love grew and spread up and out, while the girl dreamed of secret spaces, but not for herself. Once, There was a field dotted with trees, and a boy who loved his mother, who loved him back, and they were happy. The boy's mother gave him pancakes made from her great-grandmother's recipe, topped with strawberries from her father's patch, and hugs and laughter and piggyback rides and bedtime stories about their family and its love of green, growing things. The boy's mother gave him acorns, and together they planted and watered and weeded and watched and wondered. From their secret space, which wasn't very secret, the boy and his mother shared their wisdom with anyone and everyone about how things grow like trees and people and kindness. The boy always had more love to give, and he got love in return. Was it bigger than him? It was. It was much bigger than he had ever imagined, and that is why he was happy. Once there was a forest. The end. In this story, the members of a family each share and give what they can, and love grows. Together, let us consider the ways that the gifts we give today will nourish and grow this community for many generations to come. With open arms, let us now sing our young people back to their families and out to class. In the month of April, we are sharing our donations with Connecting Community Corridors for Pollinators, People, and the Planet, or CCC for PPP. Diane Kadonaga, first UU member and founder of CCC for PPP, is here with us this morning to share more. Thank you, Diane.
Hi, everyone. My name is Diane, and I'm a member of the Eco-Justice Group and one of the people featured in the Seeds of Change exhibit at the back of the hall and in the art gallery with Mary Beth McDonald and Paula Nabrett. And I'm a short Asian woman wearing green pants, a beige sweater with birds, and sneakers with bees. And I turned my yard into an edible forest edge garden and wildlife habitat initially to have affordable organically grown fresh food, and such as apples and hazelnuts, red and black raspberries, currants, strawberries, sea kale, asparagus, mushrooms, and more. And they come back each year on their own. I never realized the importance of this until COVID arrived, having to go grocery shopping only 4 times that year, as most of the food came out of my garden. But it was very difficult for many of my neighbors in Linden. And so I grew 4,000 vegetable seeds in my basement for a plant sale fundraiser and donated 2,000 of them to local community gardens. And our efforts have become known as the Connecting Community Corridor for People, Pollinators, and the Planet, or CCC for PPP, as it's affectionately known, with 45 individuals, families, businesses, and churches in the Linden neighborhood who have pollinator gardens made possible with the support of your Share the Plate donations last year. And our permaculture gardens are based on indigenous practices and can minimize the flooding like we've had with all this rain, bring down temperatures of the city's heat island effect, reduce our air conditioning bills with tree shade, and the native plants bring in wildlife and a whole ecosystem created to support rare and endangered plants and the creatures that exist on them while improving our resilience to climate change. And many of you donated your time 2 weeks ago folding the packets to get, and we were able to get 1,000 of those vegetable seed packets out to our community. And so next week, I hope you can bring some clean yogurt or cottage cheese containers so we can make our plant labels from them for our sale coming up. And this June, it will be one of the first times that we've had a festival or event, a fun event in our neighborhood, the ESA at 50 pollinator party, and organizations like OSU Extension, Franklin Soil and Water, and Franklin Park are coming to join us to mingle and hear stories of our local vendors and neighbors, as I think this is one of the most powerful ways to increase understanding and bring people together. And I hope you can join us. So thank you so much we're very grateful for your donations.
Yeah, and just a reminder, next week will be our flower ceremony, and for that we encourage folks to bring a flower to the service. So just imagine you're bringing a flower, but you're bringing it in a yogurt container or a cottage cheese container. So that's how you're going to remember to do that next Sunday. Please use the QR code on the order of service, text the number on the screen, or go to our website, firstuucolumbus.org, and click the Donate tab to share as you feel called. Your gifts build a better church and a better world. Thank you. Our offering will now be gratefully received.
That's a tough act to follow. Good morning, I'm David Carr. Susan and my wife Susan and I came to First UU in 2001, having left a local church because we found ourselves drifting away theologically, searching for a more progressive community in the aftermath of 9/11, and rejecting the decision of the National Presbyterian Church to bar gay clergy and same-sex marriage. We were looking for religious liberalism in a church with inspiring worship at its center, with a reputation for activism outside its wall on behalf of justice, and a strong religious education program, even though our kids had aged out. So we decided to visit First UU. And Reverend Marco Bellatini led services that were inspiring, thought-provoking, and both familiar in structure and refreshingly new. We had our Sunday morning home. My concern was, though, that as a shy introvert, the bigness of this church was daunting. Would I be able to make meaningful connections to be more than a loose thread sitting in one of the chairs in this worship center? We formally joined the church in early 2003 and had a stroke of luck just a couple of months later. And we don't understand why, but we were invited to join 14 other people to be a part of 2 beta covenant groups, and also to be trained to be facilitators for covenant groups when the program launched for the full congregation the following year. Our original group, which stayed together for 15 years rather than the few months that was expected, and the others that we led or participated in, were transformational for us. We developed connections, made friends, found family. That loose thread had become woven into the web of this community. As the years have passed and I've gotten older, I've grown more appreciative of this church community and how it's intertwined with the 3 pillars of church: worship, religious exploration, and justice work. We've had a string of superb, inspiring services recently. I'm going to refer to 4 that really moved me a great deal because of connection to community. The service about the 8th principle presented us with an opportunity to commit to working towards dismantling racism. Our youth shared stories in the service they led about the challenge of self-discovery as teens. The leaders of the service in which we celebrated disability represented 2 of just a vast array of physical, psychological, and neurodiversity disabilities. Last Sunday, we recognized Trans Day of Visibility, again, just one of the many LGBTQ+ groups. These services had multiple threads in common, and I was struck by the vulnerability of many in these groups in their everyday lives, facing barriers, hostility, and discrimination. At First UU, they, you, we are welcome, are cherished, are safe in this place and in this loving community. The past 4 years have been difficult. The pandemic took a heavy toll on our physical, mental, social, and financial health. Some of the adverse impacts linger to this day. Then we had the former minister's abusive behavior towards staff and some members. We are weathering these storms. We have excellent leadership, superb services led by Reverend Teresa and our other ministers, always magnificent music, a dynamic RE program, a commitment to social justice, and a welcoming community that connects and cares for one another. For a church to thrive, they are all essential. So today we begin the Stewardship Pledge Drive, and you'll hear more in the coming days about the specifics. Now you see before me someone who has white skin, white hair, straight, able, boomer male. So I recognize the advantageous hand I've been dealt. And Susan and I have been fortunate in our lives. And in gratitude for what this beloved community means to us, we're pledging at a rate greater than what's being requested of us, because we know that many can't do that. But just as every vote counts, especially this November, every contribution of time, talent, and treasure by members of this community is valuable and greatly appreciated. Thank you.
Thank you so much, David. We have some celebrations as well as some concerns to share this morning among our community. First of all, happy birthday to Jane Reisman, who celebrated her 88th birthday on Saturday. And we send healing thoughts to these beloved members. Mary Lou McDonald had shoulder replacement surgery on Tuesday, April 2nd, and is doing well. Tom Roberts had Achilles tendon surgery on also April 2nd. He is told no weight on his affected leg for 6 to 7 weeks. He would appreciate healing thoughts, texts, emails, but not calls at this point. And Carl Yaffe had back surgery for spinal stenosis on Wednesday. All went great. He can now walk without severe pain and is already home. And a celebration as well as healing thoughts go to Ricky Wagner, who had feminization surgery last Tuesday and is home doing well. I invite you to join with me in a time of meditation, of prayer, of contemplation. Let us ground our bodies and open our spirits as I share these words from Rebecca Savage. Spirit of life, eternal beloved of mystery and grace, receive these words as our prayer. We come before that which is greater than ourselves in gratitude for the fullness of our lives, for the anguish and grief that informs our mission to side with love again and again, for the suffering and disenfranchisement of our people that foments our passion for justice and wholeness, for complex lives, for hard lives, for real, full, and overwhelmed lives. We also give thanks for the blessings that we have been given, the reassurance of community, the steady warmth of hope, and the unwavering faith that there will be better days to come. We give thanks and seek grace. Spirit of love, come alongside with all the holy nudges that we need so we may live in such a way that we celebrate all the blessings we have been given, and so may we be the blessings in this world. Amen.
between the poor and the rich, between the old and the between the shouting and the silence, between the bound and the free, between the grief and the joy, between the heart and the mind. Lord, guide us to that meeting place. Guide us where we can see each other, hear each other, care for each other, where we can sing together, work together, we can play together on the common ground. Help me, Lord, open us, Lord. Come, let us be together on the common ground.
Our reading this morning, Where God Is, by Kenny Wiley. The first time my heart felt broken, I went to church. When my mom died, I went to church. When I failed a class, I went to church. When I failed a friend, I went to church. When I felt like I'd failed at life, I went to church. I didn't go asking for forgiveness. I didn't go asking for salvation. I went to church, a Unitarian Universalist church, to be reminded through hugs from friends, awkward interactions with strangers, and inspired messages from leaders that no matter how down I feel, I still matter. I still have worth. My God says, whoever you are enough. Whatever your race or ethnicity, you are enough. Whatever your abilities, you are enough. Whatever your economic class, you are enough. Whatever your gender identity, you are enough. Whatever you do for a living, you are enough. Whomever you love, you are enough. You are a human being, and so you are enough. My God says this when we come together, worship together, listen deeply to one another, and love one another. In the days after my mom's death, I felt like hiding. Doing so would have been perfectly okay. I decided, though, to go to church. My friends went with me, and the community held me up, as well as my family. Being in community was harder than being alone. Yet it was what I needed. I needed to sit in that sanctuary with my UU friends. I needed to sing those hymns and hear the voices of others. We don't have to go to service every Sunday, yet I do think that we need to show up somewhere, to some community. I believe that living out our faith requires interaction beyond our own selves. I believe it calls for community. I believe that's where God is. Through covenant with others, we reach God. We know we are enough, and we are made better. we strengthen our souls and increase our capacity for love and understanding. Please remain seated and join us in singing Winds Be Still, number 83 in your gray hymnal or on the screen.
Winds be still, storm clouds pass and silence come. Peace grace this time with harmony. Fly, bird of hope, and shine, light of love, and in calm let all find tranquility. Bird, fly high, lift our gaze toward distant view, help us to sense life's mystery. Fly high and far and lead us each to see how we move through the winds of eternity. Light shine in, illuminate our inward view, help us to see with clarity. Shine bright and true, so we may join our songs in new sounds that become full symphony.
I was recently startled to realize that I will actually be celebrating this summer 35 years in the ministry. Reverend Marco will be celebrating 45 years in ministry. So we plan to have a party, just letting you know. That means I have seen a lot of change in congregations over the years. To put this in perspective, there was no such thing as the World Wide Web when I began my ministry, except perhaps in inventors' minds. Websites were introduced in my 10th year of ministry. And I remember us having conversations. Do we really need to do that? Put a website? A lot has changed, and yet some things don't change. One of those is the anxiety that spikes when we get to Canvas time. When it comes to Canvas time, I find that churches are always searching for gimmicks. I've seen churches do recreations of game shows, plays that pretend the church is a public radio station, interrupting each part of the service with another announcement about how much money has come in, silly songs of every variety. While these may be trying to make a difficult, challenging topic fun, they can sometimes get tiresome. Makes me think of the old story about Horace Greeley, the 19th century newspaper publisher and educator. Someone looking for answers about how to raise money for their church approached him and said, "We've tried everything. Fairs, strawberry festivals, oyster suppers, box socials, mock weddings, grab bags, lawn fetes. Would Mr. Greeley be so kind as to suggest some kind of new device to keep the struggling church from disbanding?" And Greeley's deadpan response was, "Why don't you try religion?" And so that's where I want to start. Canvas time is not primarily about money. Obviously, money is an important part of it because we do have a building to maintain, we do have salaries to pay, supplies to purchase, but the greater question is, why do we need these things? What is it that we're constantly trying to create and recreate together? Because money is just the means. There's that classic piece from Douglas Adams, The Hitchhiker's Guide to the Galaxy. He says, this planet has, or rather had, a problem, which was this. Most of the people living on it were unhappy for pretty much most of the time. Many solutions were suggested for this problem, but most of them were largely concerned with the movement of these little small green pieces of paper. Which was odd because on the whole, it wasn't the small green pieces of paper that were unhappy. It is not, in fact, the little green pieces of paper or these days online transactions, but the meaning that we are trying to make with what we support. The purpose of this beloved community. I recently came across a piece in The Guardian by George Monbiot that was attempting to explain the phenomenon of why Donald Trump seems to be so popular with certain people. Definitely a mystery that I have been determined to try to figure out. And so I eagerly read it. Monbiot was looking to the field of psychology for answers. And he said this, some psychologists believe that our values tend to cluster around certain poles, described as intrinsic or extrinsic. People with a strong set of intrinsic values are inclined toward empathy, intimacy, self-acceptance. They tend to be open to challenge and change. They're interested in universal rights and equality, protective of other people and the living world. People at the extrinsic end of the spectrum, he continues, are more attracted to prestige, status, image, fame, power, and wealth. They're strongly motivated by the prospect of individual reward and praise. They're more likely to objectify and exploit other people, to behave rudely and aggressively. I could go on. But it's a little bit biased, right? A little bit extreme. You may know about me already that I resist either or formulations. I do understand why describing things in terms of polarities can be helpful, but very few people live at either extreme of these spectrums. And it's all too easy for those of us on the left side of the spectrum to smugly position ourselves as squarely in the intrinsic side. And it does indeed speak strongly to the values that we espouse, but let us be clear, we are not the living embodiment of them most of the time, even while we try. And it's also true, and I will acknowledge this, that there are people in that extrinsic side of things that do care about community, that do care about one another, that do care about their families. So I don't like to have this spectrum in that extreme sort of way. And I need to acknowledge that I have and can be motivated by external rewards. I don't particularly have any great interest in being extravagantly wealthy, but the fact that Amazon packages arrive at my door on a weekly, sometimes daily basis, would suggest that I do like acquiring things. Can I get an amen? I don't think I'm alone in this. And I don't believe that people who support Donald Trump have no community values or empathy, or are always selfish or aggressive. But I think this article is getting at something important, and that is that our larger American culture promotes and rewards extrinsic values more than intrinsic values. And so we perhaps shouldn't be surprised that the person who is the epitome of the extreme extrinsic values continues to garner support and votes. But again, I don't think that we as Unitarian Universalists can completely place ourselves at the opposite end of that spectrum. A few years ago, I was asked to consult with a congregation in which there were mounting complaints about the director of religious education. And at the meeting that I attended, one person stood up and said, "The DRE just isn't hitting it out of the park for my family." We can be all too prone for this kind of transactional way of thinking. My colleague Nancy McDonald-Ladd has written several excellent books calling us to a different way of thinking about our investment in church. She wrote this: "I think that the maintaining of the institution itself, the comfort of the people within it, has become too much of the mission, so that the congregation can become like a goods and services mechanism of exchange. If the congregation is sufficiently inspirational, then its members and attendees will reward it with institutional security. If the programs are what people want to receive, then they will pay a professional class of religious people to deliver that product. Instead," she says, "what I yearn for is a congregational self-understanding that what we do with and for each other, alongside each other, and that the maintaining of the institution is not as important as the way the institution equips all of us to live in the world." She says, basically, "I think it's insufficient for clergy like me to see ourselves as deliverers of a product like inspiration, institutional security, and comfort, and even that shift away from a clergy-dominant goods and services economy toward a collective reorientation toward a shared mission that we all live out together, even that requires a real shift of understanding, which would be hard because," she says, "after all, I'm exactly the person who benefits most from the way things are. I like having a salary." So it might seem odd to quote this in the middle of a campaign where we are asking you to contribute toward a more generous compensation for our hardworking staff, but I believe she's getting at something much more important. Not just salary structures. She's making a claim for really making a congregation a shared enterprise in which we all feel that we can contribute what we can, our time, talent, and treasure, to create a collective which contributes to the liberation of all of us. Khalil Gibran said it this way: "You often say, 'I would give, but only to the deserving.' But the trees in your orchard say not so, nor the flocks in your pasture. They give that they may live, for to withhold their gifts is to perish." This begs us to think about giving as a way of being, not as a transaction that we engage in. To celebrate the values of what we can do together to help not only one another, but the larger world in which we live. My mentor, Gil Rendell, recently preached this message in a sermon: "What will make you and me happier? More money or more forgiveness? What will make you and me more secure? More fences, more laws, more military, or more friendships? What will make you and me more loved by others? More boundaries between black and white, between red and blue, between gay and straight, or more invitations to everyone? What will give you and me more satisfaction? More possessions, or more purpose?" There was an interesting story on NPR just the other day about testing children's responses to certain stimuli. but they differentiated the children by the culture in which they grew up. And what they found was that Anglo children's joy receptors lit up when they received a gift. But in Latinx children, their receptors lit up more when they gave something away. And I think this is because Latinx culture, by and large, values community over the individual. So giving is a joy. This community offers so many gifts that I'm sure would light up those joy receptors in all of our brains. And they're not only confined to what you experience on Sunday mornings. I do believe that when you give to this community in the myriad ways in which you do, that too lights up that part of your brain. There are many privileges I get to experience by being a minister, great gifts that I have a chance to experience over and over again, and one of them came to me just this week because of the wonderful service that Reverend Kelly did recently about disability that David mentioned. I was so moved by hearing from Kristen Herr that I reached out to her and we had coffee the other day. You want to say hi, Kristen? I think we could have sat there talking for hours. As we shared what we have in common and different things that are really meaningful to us, different things that were really super helpful for me to learn about Kristen's experience in the world. One of the things I often say is that we're far more like one another than we ever realize, and we are far more different from one another than we can often comprehend. And so the great gift of religious community is that we can come together with our similar hopes and dreams and values and our different experiences and ways of being in the world and create something beautiful together that we never could if we just stayed isolated in our own similar groups. This isn't just important for us as individuals or even for this community, but because I believe that it is our greatest calling to bring those intrinsic values that I spoke of into the world. We are not perfect at it, but if we constantly remind ourselves to practice empathy, self-acceptance, to try to be open to challenge and change, to be interested in universal rights and equality and protective of other people and the world, this isn't something that I ask you to pay an admission fee for. This is something that I ask of all of us in the ongoing creation and recreation of this community together. So I will be making a pledge to this community in the coming year because I believe so deeply in what we have done, what we can do, what we're learning together, what we have to offer to the community beyond our walls. The poet Albert Rios said it so beautifully in his poem, "When giving is all we have." We give because someone gave to us. We give because nobody gave to us. We give because giving has changed us. We give because giving could have changed us. We've been better for it. We have been wounded by it. Giving has many faces. It is loud and quiet, big, though small, diamond and wood nails. Its story is old, the plot worn, and the pages too. But we read this book anyway, over and over again. Giving is first and every time, hand to hand, mine to yours, yours to mine. You gave me blue, I gave you yellow. Together we are simply green. You gave me what you did not have, and I gave you what I had to give. And together we made something greater from the difference. So may we live and find our being. Amen. So I invite you to join in our closing hymn. Now note that these are words that are different from what is in the order of service because we're being attentive to ways in which we might be projecting an ableist image into the world. So the words are answering the call to love, so pay attention to the words are on the screen.
Of the Spirit, faith, hope, and love abide. So every soul is blessed and made whole. The truth in our hearts is our guide. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. Sometimes we build a barrier to keep love tightly bound, corrupted by fear, unwilling to hear, denying the beauty we found. Answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love. A bright new day is dawning when love will not divide. Of grace in every embrace, fulfilling the vision divine. We are answering the call of love. Hands joined together as hearts beat as one. Emboldened by faith, we dare to proclaim we are answering the call of love.
For those of you who are willing, please take the hand of someone close to you or offer your hand on your heart. As I offer these closing words from Laura Martin, know that you are given the same things that have sustained the world through complicated days. Use all of them: wonder, courage, awe, interdependence, the need to rest, and the need to move. Compromise on the inflection, but not the substance. Consider your role and the role of the grass and the tree swallow that comes singing. Today, just do the part that you cannot leave undone. Amen. Let us extinguish our chalice together. We extinguish this flame, but not light a vision. As we go forth, let us heal and transform ourselves and our world through reason and love.
We will keep a place for you wherever you may go. We'll sustain this home of faith and love you've come to know. Go in peace, bring hope to hearts that yearn. We will keep a place for you till you return.
In some order. If you remember the order, this one has two. Yeah.